Conversion trucks gained popularity in the late 80s to around the late 1990s. Two-tone paint, ground effects, wood trim, custom wheels. These were sent to upfitters and were in a lot of the cases luxury trucks. There were hundreds of different conversion companies, big and small, all over the country. Some are even still around today, like Western Hauler based in Fort Worth, Texas, and most aren't, like Hamilton. I have at least 15 different companies to share with you all. The order in which I will be going and will be from the most popular to least popular. I'm basically going to briefly go over each company and a few of their conversions. Guys, visually, this is one of my coolest videos yet, and for those who are interested in this kind of stuff, you're gonna love it. If this is your first time watching, welcome. I know there are dozens of car narration channels that are AI. I'm not one of those channels, and one of these days, I'm really going to prove that. Maybe in this video I will. Also, if we get over 3,000 likes, I will do the same type of video, but for vans, and possibly expand 2 different decades. Alright, enough with the intro. Let's get into some of these wild truck conversions from the 1990s. So I would argue that the most recognizable company in this entire video is Centurion. And honestly, to me, it's not even close. For one, Centurion basically created the Ford Expedition and Excursion before Ford ever did. They took the two-door Bronco and gave it a second row of doors, turning it into a full-size, family-friendly SUV years before that idea went mainstream. Of course, there was the Suburban and the International Travelall, but these big four-door SUVs, they weren't mainstream just yet. They offered this in 2 main versions, the Centurion Classic 50 and the Classic 350, and both were stuffed with as many luxury features as possible for the time. Leather interiors, upgraded trim, guys, look at this, custom badging, and all the little touches that made these feel more upscale than the factory trucks they started off as. Centurion Vehicles was founded in 1977 and was based in White Pigeon, Michigan. Shout out to White Pigeon, Michigan. Their whole mission was creating these what might have been vehicles, factory, new trucks that Ford simply was not building just yet. They weren't limited to Ford either. For me, I always assumed Centurion only touched F-Series trucks and Broncos, but they actually worked with Chevy platforms as well, especially in the 1990s. Centurion also built crew cab pickup conversions, trucks with 4 doors of course, and extended passenger space. Some of these were even short bed crew cabs, which is an incredibly weird and rare configuration even today. Some production runs were tiny. In certain years, only a few dozen of a certain configuration was built, which is why they're almost impossible to find now. They also built things like the Ford E350 van truck, which were pretty crazy as well. Come the 2000s, the industry had caught up. Automakers were finally building 4-door trucks, luxury pickups, and massive SUVs from factory. And in 2006, Centurion was absorbed into Southern Comfort Conversions, one of its longtime rivals. Guys, I plan on making an entire video on Centurion, since this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what they had to offer. Next up is Choo Customs, and Choo was a conversion company that originally made its name doing vans, but they didn't stop there. They also did trucks, El Caminos, Suburbans, Blazers, and even Camaros. With them, their conversions usually involve things like wood grain trim, custom roof consoles, upgraded leather interiors, body kits, custom graphics, special paint, and all the other details. The company started in 1975 based in Chattanooga, and early on they became famous for turning plain vans into full-on luxury cruisers. One of their most well-known projects, and I think I've talked about this thing before, but it was the El Camino SS conversion. This wasn't a factory SS, it was a dealer-sold conversion, and roughly about 3,000 of those were built, making them super rare, but not unicorn rare. Then of course they did a wide variety of different trucks, from what I've seen mainly GM products. Here's a 1993 standard cab half-ton as an example. You can see the full body kit, the dual exhaust, those cheesy taillight covers from the 90s, the unique decals, and then when you step inside, yeah, it's actually pretty nice. And here's a 1995 F-150 XLT with the same general treatment, body kit, trim work, custom interior touches, same idea, different truck. This right here is one of their early 90s restyling catalogs. I love this. We got ground effects packages, front end styling components, trim kits, even some mechanical upgrades. Basically a menu of how weird do you want your truck to be. There's definitely a lot more that was not covered, but you know, with this kind of video, I gotta keep moving forward. I gotta be pretty quick with this. It's our anniversary today. I gotta be there in like 20 minutes, so I gotta rush through this. Yeah, this is what I look like. I'm not AI, I'm a real person. I just want to quickly say that I am in an accelerated RN program. It takes up pretty much all my time. Very busy schedule. I got 12-hour clinicals. I got labs twice a week, class twice a week, blah, blah, blah. It takes a bunch of my time. That's going to be the reason for delayed uploads, but I'm not quitting. I also just want to briefly remind you guys of the giveaway with Fan of Them. Fan of Them is a veteran-owned family business. Nothing shady is going on with them. I would never work with anybody that is shady. Ever. We're giving away a 1995 Toyota Starlet GT Turbo. It is right-hand drive. We did not get these in the States. We got the Starlet in like in the 80s or something, for like 2 years. It's got 165 horsepower. The proper modifications have been done to it. The car weighs like 2,000 pounds. You really feel like the power with this car. So I'm gonna have a QR code on the screen. I know a lot of you guys watch on the TV. You guys can't click links in the description or in the comment section. Get your phone out, scan the QR code, and boom, you're there. Get some limited time merchandise. And yeah, back to the video. Next up is the company that bought Centurion, Southern Comfort. Southern Comfort was founded in 1979, and they didn't even start with consumer vehicles. Early on, they were rebuilding van chassis for companies like Krispy Kreme and Frito-Lay, before moving into the business of customizing passenger vans and eventually trucks and SUVs. This 1992 GMC Sierra SLE with a step-side bed is a perfect example of their early style. That yellow and gray exterior is bold, very 90s. Yeah, you either love it or you absolutely don't. By the late 1990s, Southern Comfort had become one of the largest conversion companies in the country, selling trucks through dealers nationwide. They still exist today, but now they focus on modern truck upfits like lifted builds, luxury trucks, and overland style rigs. From what I've seen, most of their 90s conversions were based on single cab GM trucks, usually Chevy or GMC platforms. Here's a 2003 example. It's not as polarizing as that yellow one, but it's still definitely an eye catcher. The 3 opera style windows, I guess, something that you'd see like on a Mark series, that's a little bit unusual. And then when you get inside, honestly, it looks actually pretty nice. You can tell that these trucks weren't, just thrown together. They took time and someone clearly cared. The 4th most popular company in this video, at least based on my research, which is pretty ass, is Mark III. Mark III was an aftermarket modifier that operated on a massive scale. They had a massive factory in Ocala, Florida, and their whole business model was simple. Take a brand new van or pickup and dress it up. That could mean something small, like graphics, wheels, or interior add-ons, or it can mean a full conversion with a raised roof, captain's chairs, couches, beds, tables, TVs, and VCRs. And that, of course, applied to the vans and not the trucks. Like, you could not get a sofa in your truck. Here's a 1994 Ford F-150 Super Cab flare side as an example. It follows the same formula as the others, but the interior on this one is especially nice. Here's a 1995 Chevy with Mark III wheels. And this one's a good example of how not every Mark III truck had this wild exterior. This one is much more subtle. And for my Dodge fans, here's a 1995 Dakota Mark III. Again, same idea, different platform. Unlike companies that rebodied or extended truck frames, Mark III's approach was mostly cosmetic and interior focused. They didn't alter engines, suspensions, or frames, and they weren't known for dramatic bodywork. Their goal was more to make the trucks feel more customized and more upscale without changing how they actually drove. At their peak, Mark III was the largest conversion van company in the country. They were producing hundreds of conversions per day. Some estimates say between 800 and 1,000 vehicles daily. That production speed is what allowed them to sell these at relatively low prices and flood the market. Dealers could order one or two, get them almost immediately, and advertise them that same weekend. Next up is Regency. Regency was another major name in the conversion world, especially through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Regency was originally formed in 1982 as Regency Vans, and they became one of the largest van conversion companies in North America. As the van market faded and trucks took over, what do? They pivoted into truck conversions instead. They officially closed in January of 2009, which basically marked the end of the traditional conversion era. With Regency, what stuck out for them was their interiors. Their trucks typically came with things like wood grain dashes, leather captain's chairs, wood center consoles, mood lighting, and custom trim. You'll often see Regency embroidered into the seats or etched into the dash, subtle branding, but very intentional. One of their more interesting projects was the Silverado RST from the early 2000s. This was a limited production, regular cab, short bed, rear-wheel drive Silverado that Regency modified. They had a cold air intake, upgraded ignition components, a K&N air filter, ceramic-coated headers, and of course a performance exhaust system. So unlike some of the other conversion trucks and companies, this one actually had some legitimate mechanical upgrades, not just cosmetic ones. On screen is a 1995 Regency, for example, in that emerald green color with two-piece fiberglass running boards, aluminum step plates, ground effects, and unique Regency wheels. And just look at the interior on this thing. It's gorgeous. Here's another one, a 1992 C1500. Again, nothing too extreme, but of course those taillight covers were there. Such a huge fad in the 90s, weren't they? But yeah, still a really clean looking truck. No complaints here. Next up is Western Hauler. And this one's a little different. They started in the early 1980s and became known for building extreme wide-body dually conversions, mostly based on heavy-duty Ford and Chevy trucks. I did come across a few Dodges as well, but it seems like they shifted to Dodge in recent years as opposed to in the 80s and 90s. These were the kinds of trucks that took a normal F-250 or 2500 and turned it into something that would look closer to a concept car than a production vehicle. Massive fiberglass fender flares, hauler beds, huge wheels, custom steps, and either lifted or slammed suspensions depending on the build. Everything about these was exaggerated. They were not cheap, and they definitely weren't subtle, but they captured a very specific late 90s, early 2000s era where bigger, wider, and more extreme was always better. A lot of these trucks have this low-profile flatbed style that provides better clearance for gooseneck and fifth-wheel trailers, but not every example was like this. Some of these conversions were done to Freightliners, old and new. These are crazy as well. And unlike most of these companies, Western Hauler is actually still around. They are one of the few conversion era names that managed to survive. Our next conversion company is Roll Along. Roll Along was the name used by a small California company that built compact truck-based campers and motorhomes during the 1960s through the 1980s. One of the strangest builds I came across was a mid-80s dually Ford Ranger motorhome, which yeah, a dually Ranger with a camper body, it's bizarre, but also kind of weirdly awesome. Here's a 1990 F350 XLT Lariat that was customized by Roll-Along, and honestly, it's a beautiful truck inside and out. I mean, this was the place to be in the 1990s. Just look at it. I mean, this is awesome. I've also noticed a pattern with a few of these companies, and it's not the case for all of them, but they tend to stick to one brand. In Roll-Along's case, that brand seems to be Ford. Looking through their builds, it really does feel like most, if not all, of their conversions were Ford-based. Look at this F350 in that two-tone paint, and just look how long this thing is, man. Good God. Roll-Along eventually closed their doors around 2008, which lines up when a lot of these other conversion companies did as well. But interestingly, the Roll-Along name has been revived in recent years, and today it's used by a shop that focuses more on van conversions. So I guess the brand didn't completely vanish. Centurion originally started out building conversion vans in the early 1990s, but by 1998, the company had already gone out of business. I made this script like almost a month ago, so I'm reading it for the first time in a month, right? And I feel like I'm learning new stuff right now. The most interesting one is easily the Centurion 3, which was basically an attempt to combine the best parts of a conversion van with a capable pickup truck. You'll find things like leather seats, real walnut trim, plush carpet, ambient lighting, and all the features people loved about conversion vans, including TVs, CB radios, and even in this case, a built-in car phone. From what I've seen, it looks like they just converted F350 dualies from around 1995 to 1997. Then, as mentioned earlier, they shut their doors down a year later. Next up is Texas Stagecoach. Texas Stagecoach was founded in 1984 as a van and truck conversion company that sold directly through new car dealerships all over the country. The company saw most of its success throughout the 1990s when they were known for building high-end custom trucks and Suburbans. Eventually, in 2002, the business leased out most of their 19-acre property, which officially marked the end of Texas Stagecoach as a conversion company. Here's a 1996 extended cab Chevy 1500 as an example. The paintwork on this one looks especially well done. Here's another 1996 extended cab Chevy 1500, this one in red, and yeah, a lot more subtle. This is just another example of how many different conversion companies that were active at the time, all offering their own slightly different take on what a custom truck was supposed to be. Next up in this video is LA West. LA West is actually still around today, congratulations. They now build luxury coaches and transport vans based on platforms like the ProMaster, Transit, and Sprinter. They operate as a division of Forest River Bus and Van, and for more than 30 years they've specialized in building high-end custom vehicles for private clients, shuttle services, and specialty transport. When it comes to their truck conversions from the 1990s though, information is pretty limited. For the most part, the only photos I can find were buried in old forums or on Facebook, and there isn't much official documentation left. So I really can't say much about the exact specs or production numbers, just that the same general formula applies: custom interiors, appearance upgrades, and trim packages. One interesting example I did find is the 2003 Ford Boss 5.4 that was LA West built. That one came in 4 different stages, and from what I can tell, those are the most standardized and most common LA West truck conversions you'll run into. Everything else seems to be very low volume and just very individualized. Okay, next up is Show Trucks USA, and this one could be higher compared to the others. Show Trucks USA was one of the many conversion companies in the 1990s that added dress-up packages to brand new trucks and sold them through dealerships. These were factory street-style trucks, not full rebuilds, but appearance-focused conversions. The company was officially formed in 1989, and they filed for their trademark in 1993. That trademark eventually expired in 2001, which lines up when the company appears to have gone out of business. Here's a 1997 Silverado extended cab 1500 stepside as an example, and honestly it reminds me a lot of the Texas stagecoach trucks I just showed. These typically came with things like fog lights, dual exhaust systems, and more premium wheels. Small changes, but enough to make them feel different from a stock truck. And then you've got ones like this, pink and purple with the Show Trucks USA script right there on the tailgate, and again a dual exhaust system. Compared to some other companies in this video, these have some more personality. Our next entry is a bit of an oddball, which that's saying something at this point. Okay, so we know about the Dodge Little Red Express from the late 1970s, but in the early 1990s, the Dakota got its own version of that idea. That makeover came from a company called L.E.R. Industries. These trucks featured a distinctive fiberglass step-side bed, vertical dual exhaust stacks, which look cool but were non-functional, and gold Little Red Express graphics. Later versions could even be optioned with the Magnum V8, which made them genuine little pickups, but some still had 4 cylinders. L.E.R. Industries was based in Michigan and originally formed in 1975, building conversion vans. As that market faded, they moved into motorhome customization and eventually into doing these side jobs. In 1990, L.E.R. brought back the Little Red Express, and then in that same year, they introduced the Warrior, a revival of the Dodge Warlock. The Little Red Express Dakota was never an official Dodge factory product, but L.E.R. did sell them through Dodge dealerships, and if you already owned a Dakota, you could send it into L.E.R. and have it converted directly. L.E.R. claimed they sold just 160 of these conversions, which makes them almost impossible to find in 2026. If you made it to this point and you're enjoying the video, don't forget to leave a like. It lets me know what's working, what's not. Because honestly, this video has been so much fun to make. But yeah, our next entry is Waldoch. Waldoch has been around for almost 50 years. From the beginning, they focused on building high-quality vans and trucks, and that focus paid off. By the mid-1990s, Waldoch was competing with over 150 different conversion companies, yet they consistently ranked in the top 10 for both sales and quality with Ford and GM, according to their website. So, take that with a grain of salt. When the conversion boom collapsed in the early 2000s, most companies either went bankrupt or disappeared. But Waldoch did not. Instead, they pivoted helping dealerships with warranty issues, supplying parts for older conversions, and slowly repositioning themselves as a modern specialty upfitter. They're based in Minnesota. They are still around today. You can actually go on their website right now and build and price a custom truck or van. And I know this one technically isn't a 90s build, but I had to include it. This is a 2002 Silverado conversion by Waldoch, and considering that conversion trucks were basically dying out at that point, I think they did a fantastic job. It's a really clean, modern take on the whole idea, and honestly, it shows why Waldoch survived when so many others did not. Our last company to be featured is GST by Stauffer. This company was based in Blue Mountains, Wisconsin, and I was able to get in contact with George Stauffer. He sent over some of the sales brochures of the work they did. George, if you're watching this, again, thank you for sending them over. But yeah, as we can see, they didn't just do trucks, they did cars as well. And George told me that many cars were now being leased at the time, and modifications were not allowed. And this was one of the reasons for their startup. Obviously, there were no limitations from the manufacturers, and he told me one of the harder challenges was making sure the designs were appealing. I have to say, they are, and for a village with a population of less than 1,000 people, it's just cool, man. If you're in the area, which chances are you probably won't be, but go see for yourself some of the craftsmanship of his work. They have some really neat cars on display over there. On screen is their website. There's a phone number if you have any more questions. And again, this would have not been possible if it weren't for the man himself. So thanks again. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed. If there are other 90s conversion companies that worked on trucks, which there are, drop them in the comments down below and I will start making a list. If you made it to this point of the video, I appreciate it. And with that said, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will try and see you all in 2 weeks.